Lori Wemhoff, who many of us know as the Senior Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the American Osteopathic Association, headquartered in Chicago. Prior to joining AOA, you may recognize her as the former Executive Director of the Kent Area Chamber of Commerce, a position she held for 10 years. If you know Lori, she's willing to talk about just about anything, especially sports and her obsessions with Joe Montana and John Bon Jovi. Well, today, she's going to allow me to interview her rather than give a formal presentation. It's a segment we're going to call 5 Questions. Lori has not received the questions in advance, so she's going to have to show off her stellar educational background, her sharp wits, and her ability to deal with adversity by putting up with me for the next 20 or so minutes. So with that, let's give a nice warm welcome to Lori Wemhoff.
Thank you, I think.
Lori, we're going to start off with question 1. After the official Lori Wemhoff send-off parade from Kent, you headed to Chicago to start your new job. And in 2 months, the pandemic begins. How did that impact your work and your life?
Well, I will start off by saying thank you for inviting me to be here. I was totally misled on these questions thing, but that's okay. We'll wing it. It's hard to believe. My last day with the Kent Chamber was January 3rd of 2020. I started with the AOA on January 13th of 2020. And the last day I was in the actual office was March 16th of 2020. So it was a nice tease to welcome me to the big city, to the organization overall. My nice big office. It was really, really nice. And I will say I've gone to visit a couple of times on the down low, just to reacquaint myself with it. But it was strange because I left Chicago on March 16th and flew back home to Kent. We were there for, I think we sold the house, we packed everything up, and I think we drove out of the driveway there at 515 Overlook Drive for the last time on, I think it was April 24th. So coming here, we left our 3,000 square foot beautiful home that we had built and moved into a 1,600 square foot apartment in downtown Chicago. So I really never considered myself a hoarder, but when you have to get rid of and purge as much so quickly, you find out. We do. I will say we are contributing to the Kent economy, as we still have a storage unit in Kent with most of our of our belongings. But I've been here in the apartment working remote since the day we got here. They keep moving the goalposts, if you will. I think it's been moved about 4 times now, and we just got an email on Friday. They told us the last date we'd be going back would be possibly March 31st. And as we were getting into March and no comments were being made, or we knew that wasn't happening. So we just got an email on Friday that says the new date is July 1st. So we'll see. I live 2 blocks from the office. I can literally see the building from our bedroom window. So, it doesn't suck to be me in this view. Believe me, it's gorgeous. It's a breathtaking view, but I'd much rather be in my office. Like I said, I've snuck in a couple times and threatened to be a squatter. So we'll see.
So to follow up with that, what is it that you're doing in your job now?
I average 6 to 7 Zoom meetings a day. I've never had so many meetings in my life. My position of Senior Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the AOA, I have a staff of about 16. It's marketing, PR, media, graphics, social media team. So that I oversee that group. We're in charge, honestly, of all things internal marketing for all of the departments, marketing the association, which has over 151,000 members, which are both physicians and medical students in the United States. Putting out fires for PR issues when you have someone say something really dumb and then we have to try and fix it, or something that someone thinks we should be able to take care of as an association. One example was there was a gentleman that I'm sure you've all seen in the news who was part of the visit to the Capitol building on January 6th. And he was the guy walking out with the lectern and smiling at the camera. Someone did some background and found out that his wife is a DO in Florida. And we got all kinds of complaints saying that she needed to be, you know, her credentials taken away. She had to be kicked out of the association. I mean, you know, just for being married to this man. So those are the kinds of things people think we need to take care of on a daily basis, let alone everything else membership wise. So never a dull moment. I've actually said in the meeting, I really missed the 141 events that that the chamber had done 2 years ago, because it so, but
what are the
that's just a snapshot.
Lori, what are the chances that if you turn your camera, we're going to be able to see that podium?
No, not that podium. I could show you the John Hancock building, and I could show you the Sears Tower, but not that other thing.
Okay. Well, I feel better about that.
Yeah, me too. That'd be another PR nightmare I wouldn't need.
Breaking news here.
Yeah. Ugh.
So you can take Lori out of Kent, but you can't take Kent out of Lori. What ways are you continuing to support local businesses in Kent, and why?
Yeah, I seem to keep coming back every once in a while. It's funny, people that I talk to either still in Kent, or people here. I mean, I always just say, you know, we're going home for the weekend, or my friends at home, and they're just like, home? And I'm like, yes, that is, you know, Kent will always be home. Ohio will always be home. And I try to give back and shop local, though I stretch the definition of local. One of the things was there was something somebody had put on Facebook a couple months back, I think it was before the holidays, and someone said they were looking for any idea, in search of a realtor. And honestly, my first thought was, well, go to the website and look for it. So I went and I actually did the cut and paste of the chamber's membership, realtors, you know, section, and put it out there. Just, I don't know, it was just a knee-jerk reaction. It was just what I thought I should do. And Mike Beater put on Facebook, he goes, well, you can take her out of the chamber, but you can't take the chamber out of Lori. And I mean, it makes sense. I mean, these are my friends, my neighbors, people that I knew. I mean, I lived in Kent for only 17 years, but still, you know, there's those relationships, and, you know, you got to practice what you preach. You just can't turn it off because your address changes. So at Christmas time, I wanted to make sure I got my staff something, and they're all over, spread out over the United States now because people are remote. And so I called Gwen Rosenberg at Popped, and I said, can I order, like, you know, 20 of your containers of the caramel popcorn? And she kind of laughed and she says, yeah, that'd be great. And I said, there's this place here called Garrett's that everybody's talking about, but I don't think it's really that good. So can I get some Popped? So I ordered about $400 worth of popcorn and had it sent to Florida, California, North Carolina, and here in just the greater Chicagoland area. And I'll tell you what, they thought that was the best. I got more texts and emails from my staff saying, this stuff is addicting. This stuff is the best popcorn I've ever had. So I made sure to let Gwen know that as well. And actually, we re-upped our lease on my Jeep with Claiborne the last time we were home. So, you know, giving back there. And whenever we're home for a visit, I think we've been home maybe 2 or 3 times since we've left. We always just stay at the Kent State Hotel. I mean, we could stay with friends. I mean, we could go stay with my mom down in Massillon. She's not really happy when we don't stay there. But, you know, we stay in Kent. We're right there in the heart of everything. We go to Ray's. We go to B-Dubs. We do our best to help the economy. We're on our visits. So, I mean, it just seems the right thing to do.
Wonderful. Well, not that I own one of those businesses, but thank you. We like that. So I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you right now.
Oh, Lord.
Let's say that there's a certain mascot kangaroo and a certain mascot eagle, and they've gotten into a no-holds-barred wrestling match. One of them extends a body part for you to tag in and finish the job. In your mind, who are you helping and why?
Wow, I really should have asked for these questions ahead of time. I'd like to see that one. I'll be politically correct and say that it would end in a tie. Please know that I do not financially support the University of Akron. Our money goes to Kent State, which I'm sure that makes Lang very happy. We're still Golden Flash supporters of, with, through our commitment and stuff like that. But I don't know about this wrestling and tagging thing, Todd. That's kind of disturbing. I don't want to. I see Ben here. I read the Portager and the Record Courier every day. I don't want to see any of this showing up in print. My days of possibly being in the newspaper, I would think a lot of people are probably glad are over. But we used to get complaints about that.
Oh, that's funny.
David can attest to that.
Oh yeah. Well, now that you've had a little bit of time to distance from Kent, what is your perspective on the UA-KSU rivalry?
I think it's on its way back. Honestly, I think, there's always ebbs and flows when one program is up and another one is down, or, the PR on a university and the situations that they're going through. I'm excited as can be for Coach Lewis, and the football program. I mean, I think their momentum will take them in the right direction. Like I said, I'm a huge, we're supporters of both men's and women's basketball for Kent State, and both have a great program. Like, we've been watching them as much as we can. And I was on that call last night with Coach Sendy and Coach Starkey speaking. Akron men's basketball was doing great. And then at the wrong time of the season, they decided to kind of, not do so well. So I think it's a great rivalry. Again, it's had its ebbs and flows, but I do think it's on its way back up. And I will say for this group, and I usually said this at the end of every Bowman breakfast, go Flashes. So, if you're recording this, you now have it in front of you. Lang did his job. Lang did his job. He made it his goal to convert me. So.
Well, if anybody can succeed at conversion therapy, it'd be Lang.
And I was just auditing his class, so my grade wasn't tied to that at all.
Well, one of the things I've been able to do a little bit is follow you on Facebook, and not in a stalker creepy way, but in a, we're actually friends way.
I don't know if I believe you anymore, but go ahead.
Yeah. So you are extraordinarily positive on your social media, and it's clearly intentional. Can you talk a little bit about what your decision was to do that? What's your inspiration for that?
Sure. I've always considered myself, to be a very optimistic person. Glass is always half full. I get that from my dad, bless his soul. He just saw the good in everybody, never said an unkind word, even when, pushed to the brink. Now, I can't take that. I've done my share of that. I can't take on all of that good virtue of his. But just being an optimist and honestly, when you get out of bed in the morning, that's like probably the one and only time you're in control of, your mindset and what lies ahead of you. So I try to do that every morning, by 8:30 my time, just post something positive because, that's how I want to start my day. Now, that's not to say at 8:32, I'm, my day has gone to, hell in a handbasket, but at least I just think it's a way to start the day. And it's interesting that you say that you follow me on that. There was like a couple days there. I don't know why. It was right after Christmas or something that I didn't post anything. And people were like, hey, were asking me, is everything okay? What's going on? I didn't get, you didn't post. I'm like, wow, okay. So, so I make it my, try to be one of the first things I do in the morning. Cause like I said, there's so much negativity in the world, especially, on social media, that, you know, I'm not a Pollyanna and not everything is, you know, sunshine and, you know, lollipops, but if I can at least start my day out being positive and post something that maybe makes somebody think a positive thought or even just smile, you know, after that, you're in charge of your own day, or should be, but that's just the way I like to start a day.
You can add social media influencer to your CV.
Wow, I like that. I'll put that on my resume.
See, free advice from me.
From my stalker, right?
Right, that's not true at all. All right, we're already at question 5. There may be a bonus question, and then we'll open it up for the rest of the folks. But, you know, let's talk a little bit about your view from your amazing apartment, your 1,600 square foot apartment that you say, you know, looks like an aerial view. It's actually 38 floors up. Can you share some of the interesting things that you might have seen out of your window?
Honestly, it is breathtaking. We're 38 floors out of 40. We face, I have to do this all the time, southwest. So in my viewfinder from our living room is one of the most gorgeous buildings that I think in town. Is I love old architecture, Gothic architecture. So I've got the Tribune building literally out our living room window. Just past that, it looks like it's close, but it's not, is, you know, the Sears Tower. And there's just so many beautiful, beautiful buildings, so many different styles of architecture. My absolute favorite building in the whole city is the Wrigley building, right there on the river. And so I don't want to say unfortunately, but the Tribune building is right in front of our view of the Wrigley building. When we were first looking at the places in this particular building, we looked at one on the other side, and you could see the Chicago River, the Wrigley building, a beautiful view out of one of the bedroom windows, and then Lake Michigan. And I said, oh, we need to have this. So, you know, day late and a dollar short, we went to sign the paper, and the guy's like, oh, somebody got that one. I'm like, oh. So, I mean, I was absolutely crushed. So he said, but I've got this one on the other side of the building. I'm like, all right. So from our bedroom, you can see we're looking north. So we've got the Hancock building and Lake Michigan. And then from the room I'm in, and then the living room, it's, like I said, the Tribune building, as well as the Chicago River. So, I mean, it's absolutely stunning. And we realized not long after we got here what a better and just a more gorgeous view it is, because at night, you know, all we can see is the city and all the buildings, you know, all lit up, and they're just stunning. It's almost more beautiful at night than it is during the day. And had we been on the other side where we thought we wanted to be, we'd have been staring out at pitch black darkness of the lake. So, I mean, I firmly believe that you know, everything happens for a reason. And as upset as we were to think we, you know, didn't get the one we wanted, I mean, it is stunning to see, because right now I have the river, I've got all of that beautiful architecture in front of me. And if I want to look north, I can see, you know, Lake Michigan and the Hancock building and Bloomingdale's and everything, you know, north of us. So it worked out well. I have nothing to complain about. I want to almost say it's worth the price. I will tell you something that was a little unnerving was, of course, during the riots, the protests, and the looting. Sadly, that was like literally right out our living room window. I mean, mind you, 30 or 38 floors down. But I mean, we saw, the protesters on Michigan Avenue, because that's right down here. When they put the bridges up, it was a little unnerving for girl from Massillon, Ohio. It was a reality check that was just a little too scary. And that first night, there were like 5 helicopters that were like literally just hovering right where we were. They were the news helicopters and stuff. It was the best word I could. It was very disturbing, and it was scary, to know that the bridges were up and you had to show your ID if you had to get out. Like we were by Northwestern Medical Hospital, and if the first responder, if they needed to come in, they had to show their credentials for to be allowed in, and so it was different. So, but things are much more calm here in the big city right now. Knock on wood.
Good. Yeah, I was going to ask about the sort of the massive humanity, because probably in 2 city blocks, there are about as many people as there are in the city of Kent. So,
and let me just say that the city blocks here are a lot longer and bigger than when in Kent. Somebody told me my dentist's office was 2 blocks from here. So I walked and I walked and I walked. I'm thinking, where do these blocks end? So I was, yeah.
well, it's good for exercise.
Yeah.
See, the positiveness is brushing off, Lori.
See, it's all part of my evil plan, Todd.
Yeah, evil, right. Well, my last question for you is, if you look into the crystal ball that probably John Bon Jovi is holding behind you, because I can see him hanging out there.
Yeah, he's back there.
Right. If you look into his crystal ball, can you tell us what does a longer term outlook for small businesses look like right now as we begin to hopefully transition out of this pandemic?
Mm. I think true, and I truly have thought about this. Try to second guess what your questions might be ahead of time. I really think that the future is bright. I'm not going to lie. The last time we were in town and driving, Main Street and Water Street and all around, I mean, it was just like, it was just so sad to see empty storefronts and things like that, and remembering what it looked like and people everywhere. And I think it was 2012 where we did 32 ribbon cuttings, kind of thing, when everything was just popping. I truly believe it's going to come back. I mean, it's not going to be overnight. It's not going to, have a magic wand. I think it's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of leadership, and and a lot of investment. But there's just so much. People were so prideful of what Kent had become there in that short amount. I don't want to say short amount of time, and it was a long time coming, for the businesses. But I just think people know what it was, and they're gonna make sure it comes back. And the whole idea of shopping local, supporting local, eating local, and the restrictions, are lessened, and hopefully that's soon. I just think there's too much pride that the residents and the alumni and the business owners all have, that they realize that they're taking care of each other and one another. The business owners are owned by our neighbors and friends. It's not just some, faceless, entity. And people want to see that success come back. And I truly believe it will. I think the Chamber's had, two ribbon cuttings already this year. I mean, I think that's 2 more than it had last year. I mean, that's awesome. So it'll happen. It won't be overnight. It wasn't overnight the last time, but I truly believe that it'll be back, and it'll be bigger and better than ever. And it's because of the people that make Kent what it is.
Awesome. Well, Lori, I've made you suffer enough through answering my silly questions. So I want to give the rest of our club an opportunity to ask you silly questions as well. So,
Mr. Myers looks like he wants to say something.
Well, just to the fact that our late editor, Loris Troyer's son, Bob, is a resident of downtown Chicago. I don't know if your paths have crossed or if you even know one another.
Possibly.
But Bob was in the same kind of business, only for the Firestone Company.
Oh, so, okay.
Bob nice. Troyer. I think he's on the $1 Million Mile or something.
Mag Mile.
Mag Mile.
Mag Mile. Magnificent Mile.
Yep. Thank you.
Lori.
Yes, Professor.
I have a question. Could you tell us a little bit about your new organization, AOA Association?
Sure.
The size and scope and the importance to the world.
Sure. You're all very familiar with, obviously your doctor, whether he's an MD or a DO, and maybe you don't know the difference or care that there's a difference. The only difference really, honestly, is very minimal. Doctors of osteopathic medicine, they have the exact same training. They go to school, they're fully licensed, they go to school the same amount of time. And they have the equivalent training and practicing rights of an MD. DOs currently account for, I think, 11% of all physicians in the United States. and 25% of medical students, current medical students, are going for their DO licensure. Again, it's the same training, the same schooling. It's nothing lesser. What it is more of a, they look at the person as a whole, if you will, treating the body, mind, and spirit. We're working on right now a brand new brand ad campaign. It's a $2.3 million that I'm in charge of, which should just scare everybody, I guess, for an ad campaign. But one of the key messages we're using is the doctor will hear you now. And, you as the patient are the expert on you. So again, it's not competitive with, an MD. Again, can't stress enough, the same training, same schooling, same specialties. But it's just a different branch of medicine. And I think we're at about 151,000 members, and that's physicians as well as medical students currently. So I hope that answers your question, Professor.
Thank you.
Okay. If it did, somebody tell my boss, because I just
Hey, Lori.
Hello?
All right, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I was happy to hear, Lori, that you didn't go to the dark side with the Garrett's popcorn. And I'm curious to know if you've developed any strong opinions on Chicago deep dish pizza.
David, that's a very good question. I actually came prepared for that when we moved here. I lived in Chicago when I was very young and impressionable back in 91, 92, 93, when I was working for the Mid-Continent Conference. And I fell in love with Giordano's. But again, that's all I knew. So now that we've been here, and those of you who know my husband will hopefully get a chuckle out of this, once a bean counter, always a bean counter. He put together a spreadsheet of pizzas that we've tried. And we made it a thing, like every Saturday night, we're going to try a different pizza. So I'm still leaning towards Giordano's, but Lou Melinotti's is a nice, good, yeah, I see you're nodding, so you've had it. That's a close second. And sadly, with this being remote and trying all these pizzas, I don't even know if I'm going to fit back into my work clothes once we get back into the office, but that's our way of doing research. So we're doing our best to do all the research we can based on Chicago pizza.
Is there anything that you've seen that's new or hip in the big city that you think would translate well?
Besides
me, metropolitan now.
Besides me, you know what? With everything being shut down for so long, I mean, you've come to Chicago and you've got these aspirations where, you're going to go to the theater, you're going to go to these museums. And with us, it was we were so excited. We're like, we had Cubs season tickets. Well, that didn't happen. We love every sport there possibly is here. We were excited about going to Blackhawks games and Bears games. And we decided maybe we would kind of adopt DePaul men's basketball or Northwestern we had all kinds of plans. But of course, none of that came to fruition with the pandemic. So we do have a list that once this things are, lightened up for us a little bit, where we're going to go. You can only walk to Navy Pier so many times, and then they shut that down early. So took that away from us. So we're hoping that our Cubs tickets are supposed to roll over again. So we're going to get notice of that soon. So we're going to do our best to get the best, most bang for our buck for living here. No cost.
Hey, Lori, Roger Sidoti.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you know what? My vision is always used to be walking into your office and Ann and you are both there and you're in your side of the office. She's in her side of the office. I was just curious, do you still yell at one another back and forth from Chicago to Kent? And, do you guys stay in close contact?
Actually,
you're so close. Yeah.
We do. We text, we email, we talk quite often. I still get all the newsletters. I get all the information from the chamber. Like I said, I read the Record Courier and the Portager every day, and keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on, you know. Plus, yeah, I'm just nosy. I want to know what's going on, you know, back in Kent. But no, Ann and I are in pretty good contact on a regular basis.
Hey, Lori, what's Rob doing?
Rob is semi-retired. He was with First Energy there in Akron for about 15 years. He retired officially, I think it was July 31st, but on August 1st, he didn't even give himself a day off. We always joked, he said, you know, I'd like to be a doorman. That would be like so fun. And everybody's like, that does sound fun. Plus he's very friendly. I'll talk to anybody kind of stuff. So he literally works for a company that staffs, I think 45 different residential buildings here in the downtown Chicago area. And it's more of a concierge. I mean, it's not like he's standing outside holding the door for you. But, you know, when you come inside to someone's apartment complex, you know, and there's security, you can't get any closer or any further than the door unless you live there. That's what he does. And he is loving it. He's in like high demand. I mean, he gets texts from his boss all the time and says, you know, 470 North Lakeshore Drive required you, and they're willing to pay the overtime. And he just loves it. He just talks to everybody and has a good time. And that's what he's doing. He's totally enjoying himself. And he told me that I can't quit my job because he's come accustomed to this lifestyle. So no pressure.
Hey, Lori, that sounds like fun. Bill Childers here. And I love the city of Chicago. I just wanted to know your thoughts on the Billy Goat Tavern. Have you been?
I was there on a trip once. I was on a business trip when I was with the architecture firm in Cincinnati that I worked at prior to moving to Kent. So I've been there, but it's been shut down.
Sure.
And so we haven't been there yet, but it's like literally right about there underneath Michigan Avenue.
Yep.
I don't have the arm for it, but I could throw a stone and hit it. So.
and I hope your windows don't open.
Yeah, they don't open very much at all, just so.
Lori, this is John Flynn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So nice to hear from you, but a Cubs fan?
Well, yeah. I'll always be, I'm an Indians fan, you know that. I'm a Browns, Indians, Cavs. But if I have to pick between the two here, I'm obviously going to, you know, jump to a different the conference there. But my dad was a huge Cubs fan all his life. And so it just seemed like the right thing to do. And then whenever we would come here, we'd go to Cubs games. And I know it was painful because you know how they beat our Indians there in the World Series. But that was in 2016, October of 2016. My dad, you know, as you all pretty know, unexpectedly passed away in September of 2016. So I felt that if anybody could and should beat the Indians for the World Series, especially 3 weeks after or 4 weeks after that happened, it could be the Cubs. And I'm convinced that there was divine intervention involved with that, believe me.
Yeah, well, that's fine and you're forgiven.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that.
Randy, if I can ask a question.
Hi, neighbor.
Hi, Lori. How are you? And
good.
Great to see you. And it's not so much a question, but just a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. First, I really admire your both stamina and courage to pick up and move. I'm sure it doesn't come easy, and it's maybe for some of us it's almost inspiring. And I thought I should say that. And two, I think it sounds miraculous to go to half the size of your square footage, and that maybe you should write a book on, because many of us should probably just downsize anyway. We don't need to change the house, just need to reduce the things.
Until you're forced to do it. I appreciate your first comment. It's funny, when I moved here, when I was very young and impressionable, back in '91, my mother said that I had more guts and sense. And fast forward to being, to current times. And honestly, when I'm walking to and fro around here, I have those moments where I look up and go, if somebody would have told me two years ago, 20 years, that at my age, you know, that at 54, you're going to be living in Chicago, I'd have called them a liar to their face. I just never in a million years envisioned this. And my mom did tell me once again that I had more guts and sense, but I had Rob with me this time. So, but thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words.
Well, thank you so much, Lori. And as you're well aware, we always have responders to our program.
Yes.
And today that's going to be Lang Kennedy.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, hello. Thank you, President Randy. And first of all, Lori, welcome home. And congratulations on your exciting position with the AOA organization as a senior vice president. I think that's fantastic. And I really want to, a special thanks to you for your 10 years of leadership with the Kent Area Chamber of Commerce, where we experienced unprecedented growth. And you really were a leader in really implementing the Kent State, City of Kent, Chamber of Commerce, working together for a really fantastic development right here in our home city. On a personal note, it's great to see you. I miss our unscheduled but very frequent luncheons where we would solve or try to solve the World College of Athletics. And I'm not sure we solved any of them, and we certainly put many more on the list. So I miss that, Lori, and it's really great to see you. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Professor. Again, thank you for inviting me. This is like old home week. So many friendly and faces, and I appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Lang. And this will officially end our meeting. As always, if you want to hang around and chat for a little bit after,